Okay, good evening and thanks for tuning in to this, our third webinar from Archery GB. We're going to change the format a little bit this time. I'll be introducing some new faces to the webinar later. David Tillotson, our Director of Sport, and Lloyd Brown, our Head of Coach and Athlete Development. And they'll be giving you an update on sport delivery and coaching. But first, I'd like to say a couple of thank yous to two archery clubs for welcoming me as I visited them earlier this month and last month. I visited the Exmouth Archery Club in Devon and also the Walker, Bowman and Walker Club in Newcastle, where under the expert guidance of Dave Harrison I managed to shoot a recurve bow at 20 metres and to my surprise and everyone else's I hit the target. So appreciations for that from me. Anyway, I hope that you've seen our new website. We've received some really positive feedback on it, but we're always open to new suggestions. So I've launched a new email address which is suggestions@archerygb.org, which we hope to take some suggestions and on the website and anything else you think you would like to comment and improve about the organisation. Every quarter I'm going to take the best suggestions and we'll be giving a small prize for those with the best suggestions. So keep them coming in. Just finally, before I hand over, I'd just like to give you some feedback on the big weekend. Big weekend took place on the 16th, 17th and 18th of June. A great weekend, if you recall. We had fantastic weather up and down the UK. And the success came because we had a 25% increase in clubs adopting and getting involved with the big weekend. So we had 104 clubs in total, which was fantastic. We covered the whole country, from Jersey, St Ives, Portsmouth, right up to St Andrews. We had Londonderry engaged as well. We're guessing the participation is around 8,000, but we're still waiting for the statistics to come in. But overall, a fantastic, fantastic event. One particular club in Guildford had over 250 visitors. We had great support from Volvo, our commercial partners, and in fact one club actually persuaded the Volvo dealership to place an advert on the club's behalf, which was terrific. Great age range again, and this supports our inclusivity, the position of archery being the most inclusive sport. The ages range from 2 years old to 90 years old, a terrific result. Even a Star Wars stormtrooper was spotted at one club shooting some arrows. We had great results where some clubs joined forces with others and ran a joint event, but we had loads of sign-ups to beginners courses up and down the country, and some having to put on additional dates for additional beginners courses. So well done to everybody that got involved in the big weekend. You made the event really, really special. I'm going to be handing over to David and Lloyd in a moment, but stay tuned for the webinar because I've got some great news that we'll be talking about later after I've dealt with some of the questions and answers. So I'm going to introduce David Tillotson and Lloyd Brown if they'd like to come and take your place on the sofa and talk us through the performance and coaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. I appreciate the opportunity to share some information with members. A brief performance update allows me to celebrate our world-leading Paralympic squad, who followed on from their successes in Rio and attended competition in Puerto Rico, where once again they are the world-leading nation on that table. Our national recurve squad have attended the World Cups in Shanghai, Antalya and Salt Lake City, with highlights being a 5th place for the mixed team, and it's good to see the IOC has now made that an Olympic event in Shanghai, and the men's team took a 7th place in Salt Lake City. National Compound have kept up the trend, and they had some youth athletes went to an event in Greece in marathon, and they took 2 medals there. Going forward, we'll have athletes from the British field events going to the World Games in Poland in July. European field athletes will go to Slovenia in August, and the World 3D is held in France in September, and we'll have members attending that. The busy year will culminate in Beijing for the World Para Championships. In October, the World Youth will take place in Rosario in Argentina, and the recurve and compound will complete the year at the World Championships in Mexico. So an extremely exciting and very, very busy year for people. So let's go and be really competitive out there. Any success we achieve will be underpinned by our coaches. Coaching in any sport is fundamental to the success. It's also fundamental to people's enjoyment of a sport. And Archery GB has made coaching a strategic priority for the sport. Members also have made a strong commitment to strengthening the nature of coaching in our sport. Great coaching enables people to experience enjoyment, to make progression, as well as to have achievement. Great coaching brings about growth, and it brings about learning of new things. And it is our intent to provide coaching that is very visible and very vibrant. And to answer a question that I believe has come in, Will, from Dave Clark of Bowman Woodstock, about why all coaching appears to focus on teaching juniors or beginners and not on archers that have been shooting for many years. It is our intention, just to reiterate, that the coaching work going forward will be developing coaches and clubs where people can not only enjoy social archery, but make progress to the level that works for them, as well as making progress through to serious levels of achievement of performance. So Dave, stick with us and please engage with the coaching strategies that's coming out. We've undertaken a series of coaching workshops around the UK in the last 3 months and engaged and consulted with over 100 coaches at a whole series of levels. That includes both Northern Ireland and in Scotland. The feedback we've received has given us a priority order of activities that we would now want to follow up on. We do need to update and better define our technical model, and Lloyd will give some insight into that in a moment. We need to provide a recognised programme of CPD activities for our coaches. We need to support places where better coaching or stronger coaching, more accessible coaching can occur for both the coaches and the athletes and the archers. Clearly we need to promote the role of coaches, and we also need to align our qualifications and our course structure to the technical model and our coaching methodology. So as I said, Lloyd, I'll just ask you to give some insight into the kind of technical work that you and colleagues have been doing to take that forward.
And what we're trying to do is we really want to make sure that the archers that are coming into our sport, as well as the archers that have been participating in the sport for a long time, can have the information and will help our coaches develop so that they will be able to help the archers with this information to help them improve to whatever level they want to get to. So the first thing we need to do is start with a technical model. In other words, what we're looking for in the archers, whether they're recreational or whether they want the opportunity to become a competitive archer, or even an internationally competitive archer. But a lot of the techniques will be not just so that they can become best in the world, if that's the direction they want to go, but also just for a more enjoyable experience because it's a simpler technique, it's a more efficient technique, a more relaxed technique, so that they can really enjoy the sport. So starting with the technical model, this is something that we've done through research, looking at the best in the world, and a lot of discussion on the recurve side between myself and Richard Priestman. Also on the compound side, using our experts, Ricky Bingham, Michael Peart, Simon Scott, and it is in its development stage right now. It'll also go out for peer reviews, so we'll get our top archers and other coaches also to look at it before we've completely finalized it. But the technical model will just include starting with an outline of the steps of shooting, and then it will kind of give a description of what are the important elements and the reasons why these elements are important with each step, and then continue on with the details of those steps and the elements that we're looking for in good fundamentals of shooting technique. So it should be very inclusive in what the contents are, so that anybody, both the coach and the archers, can really understand what we're looking for to get to the best in the world. So carrying on from the technical model, after the technical model, then we have a technical progress record. So this is something that can be used, again, by beginning archers as they're starting to progress through their career as an archer, and also can be picked up by those who've been shooting for quite a while. If they're interested, this is for people that really want to learn to help develop their technique. And then through our training of the coaches throughout the country, the coaches will be able to help them, and we'll make sure the coaches have the resources to help the archers identify what's right and what's wrong in their shooting technique, and then show them the drills that they need in order to improve those technical foundations that are important to help their shooting technique. So the technical progress report we've rolled out in our performance academies as well as our athlete training centers, and we're just starting to see how it works, and both with the coaches and with the archers, so that we're ready to roll it out. So these steps will follow our technical model. It'll follow our technical model, and we start out with what we call the gold standard, but this is what it will look like, the perfect technique. In other words, what the model technique will look like. But we also, the next stage would be the red. We're using the target colors as we go here, which would be good technique. In other words, when you look at the best in the world, we don't always see perfect technique, but it's good enough to be best in the world. So it gives room there for the good technique. Then where they're developing the technique, in other words, the athletes learned what they need to do, but they haven't mastered the technique yet, and then the technique has been introduced, but they haven't learned, or they just haven't been introduced to the technique yet. So this gives us a rating scale, and it gives accountability to both the coach and the archer, so that the archer knows, am I doing it right or am I not? And also the coach to, is the archer doing the skills correctly or are they not? And then allows them to track their progress. In other words, after you've given them the drills, they've been given the practice, they've been given, understand the feedback that they need to help learn the skill, and they go back and work on it, and then we can say, has it got better? And that's the whole idea of the technical progression, to help the archer work through and improve their technique, and then improve their performance. So within each level, we'll have, like this gives an example of just a stance, and we'll show what are we looking for, the gold standard in the stance, the red, and then what we might see that needs improvement in the blue, the black, or the white, for each step of shooting in the technical foundation. So that's where we're going. And then we'll have backup materials for both the coach and the archer, so that they compare. The coach may take a picture of the archer at certain angles and say, this is what you look like now, this is what the best in the world looks like. We'll have a resource where we have photos and videos of the best in the world that the coaches can show the archers as well. So you can say, this is what you look like, this is what you need to look like, or what the best in the world look like. And then the resources show what drills they need to learn in order to learn those skills, and also what kind of feedback they need to help them with that progress. So this would show posture, the gold standard, what might be acceptable or we'll see in world class, and then posture that needs to be worked on. And that's how we'll work out the material. So we really want to help the coaches with good information, good materials, so that they can learn and develop. And we do plan on rolling this out in first a pilot CPD that we'll be doing. And our format, the way we have it planned, is the first day will be a seminar which will go over the technical foundations and the technical model, as well as the technical progression and the drills that need to be learned to get the skills and the feedback. And then the second day will be a hands-on, where we'll ask coaches to bring in athletes that they're working with, that will go through the technical progression record, so that they can get some hands-on experience on how to go through that with the athletes, and assigning them the drills so that they can see what the improvement will look like in the future. So we hopefully will be rolling that out in the fall and bringing it out to the clubs wherever we can. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Really interesting and exciting times. Going forward, therefore, we clearly need to identify and implement a structure and resources to bring these things about. We're currently working on costings, and we'll be looking to recruit in the next month or so, and then subsequently in the latter half of the year, as Lloyd was saying, further put out support and development opportunities to bring that about. So very much looking forward to pursuing this important area of work, and we will be continuing the engagement and consultation approach that we've so far taken on in terms of the workshops that we've done, the peer reviews that Lloyd mentioned there. That is an approach that we intend to continue. So very much looking forward to working with you, and this will be a key area of Archery GB strategy. Thank you, Neil.
Okay, thank you, David. Thank you, Lloyd. And we'll now get to your questions. And as we did previously, Will's going to read the questions out, and I will attempt to answer them.
Evening, everyone. Nice to be back again. I don't think David Dilby's got anything to worry about yet. We'll see after the next few webinars to see where we get to. But our first question tonight comes from Chris Johnson. He's a records officer. He's very, very happy that we've introduced the Archery GB metric outdoor rounds, and they've been very, very popular. But he'd now like to look at how they're going to be sort of taken forward, particularly to promoting the metric archery as a path for juniors and new archers in recognised tournaments.
Okay, yeah, thanks for your question, Chris. As you know, because we published it in the magazine, we are reviewing our handicap classification system, and as that review hasn't concluded yet, I can't anticipate the outcome of that, but we will ensure that it's in the magazine to make sure that we give it publicity. So you will find out, but I'm afraid we're not just there yet.
Okay, thanks, Neil. There's another question from David Bell, and he's asking about the horse bow, and he says, may we have rules governing the horse bow or composite traditional Asian bow? Rule 205 is too broad and favours the Olympic recurve with outsides and other bows with centre arrow shafts.
Yeah. We understand that some members wish to compete in target archery with a variety of bow styles and different constructions, but too many categories would actually saturate and confuse the competitive environment within the sport. So we are going. We probably will not be adopting changing the rules to accommodate those more esoteric bow styles.
Okay, thanks, Neil. Moving along, Tony from Nethermoss Archers. Very simple question. Can you please update your system to enable new membership registrations online?
Great question, Tony. Thank you. Yeah, we've really focused on investing in IT over the last 12 months here at Archery GB. And we're currently testing a new membership registration system. It's a significant IT investment, and in that testing, if all goes well, which I'm assured by our IT department that it's going absolutely smoothly and swimmingly, that if all that testing goes well, then we will be rolling it out around September on a gradual basis. We do need to adopt technology. We need to use it to save money. We need to use it to give much smarter and real-time information, and also gather data, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, great question. Thanks, Tony. Keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully rolling out in September.
Thanks, Neil. Adrian from Littman Archery has got a couple of questions. The first one you've just answered. His first question was about an online renewal system. His second question relates to the strategic objectives that Archery GB has. And he wants to know about KPIs and the publication of those key performance indicators, mentioning that other sports do that, and just do Archery GB have any ambition or any plan to publish the results?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks, Adrian. We clearly do review our progress against our strategic objectives regularly, and what I'm aiming to do prior to the next AGM, the annual general meeting, is to produce a yearbook where we talk about our progress against our strategic objectives, such that we can judge how well or not that we've done them. As with anything, when you develop a 4-year strategy, Things do change, timings change, but yes, absolutely we'll be keeping the membership up to date via the AGM of our progress against those strategic objectives.
Great, thank you. Another question coming here from Maggie Squires. She'd like to know how they get on advisory committees. She's attended development coaching groups and like to get more involved. Just wonders what is the process if she wants to become more involved and on various committees and through volunteering.
Mm-hmm. Well, firstly, you know, I need to say a huge thank you to all the volunteers that do participate in the sport. We can't do this sport without you. And we want to make sure that we use the volunteers in the most appropriate and effective way. We need to make sure that we match the skill sets of the volunteers against the competency requirements of the particular strategic advisory groups. So what we're doing is we will be populating the strategic advisory groups with those individuals who match the selection criteria for that particular group. Now, we are about to publish a selection procedure on the website where you will be able to find out exactly how you can assess your skill sets against those that are required for the strategic advisory group requirements. But, you know, absolutely, we need the experience that's appropriate, and we need the qualifications that are appropriate for those particular groups. Keep your eyes on the website, and we'll ensure that you're fully informed.
Okay, thank you for that, Neil. The next question comes from Len Stamp, and it's about recurve barebow still not being noticed enough, and he just wants to know how Archery GB can help promote this, what he describes as a skilled art form. Indeed,
it is a skilled art form. I'm going to wind back slightly and talk about our member registration, our database of membership. We actually don't have sufficient information on our database to really accurately understand how many folk are shooting barebow, how many folk are shooting longbow, recurve, compound, etc. So it's very difficult to put resources in place which are appropriately aligned to the popularity of the various bow styles. With our new computer system, you'll hear it called a CRM system, which is the jargon for it. So in our new CRM system, the customer management system, we will be gathering extra data to actually find out the relative popularities of each bow style, so we can make sure that we have appropriate resources that match that requirement. So it's work in progress. We will be recognising each different bow style, but with a relative importance to its the other bow styles. We're gathering data. Please feed it back to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to step on Neil's toes a little bit here now. I'm going to answer this question myself, if that's okay with Neil.
Indeed, shoot.
Now, this has come from Declan down in Hampshire. One of the suggestions that has come to him through working with various schools was the fact that you couldn't buy an arrows kit with the Sainsbury's Active Kids vouchers. Now, unfortunately, that's due to come to an end very, very shortly, that scheme for this year. But we will talk to Sainsbury's. We will get arrows available through that scheme. It's a fantastic idea. He's also then come on to something that Neil's picked up on already by mentioning the fact that we now have this new web address, suggestions@archerygb.org, as he would like to have a way of easily putting forward ideas and suggestions to how we could improve. So yeah, great, thanks Declan for those. So I'm now going to fire one back at Neil. This is from Rachel. She talks about the entry fee for competitions and tournaments being held here, particularly at Lilleshall, and particularly if there's more than one person in the family who wants to come and shoot. Just wondered if we could look at the prices or explain the pricing a little bit more.
Yeah. Every time we run a tournament here at Lilleshall, it has a set of costs attached to it. Now, we don't own this site here at Lilleshall, so we don't set the rates. We don't set the pricing for hiring the field, hiring the facilities, etc. This site is managed by Serco and owned by Sport England. We do our best to negotiate, but those are the prices, unfortunately. What I do need to do, though, is ensure that tournaments are A, really well attended and we put on a great event, and B, they're also sustainable. So we need to make sure that we keep the entry fees to an absolute minimum to make sure that we attract a sufficient numbers of people, but also we need to make sure that they bring in a sufficient commercial income to make sure we can continue to run these great events. So we are busy developing a commercial model which will support this move and ensure that tournaments continue to be great events, but they'll perhaps maybe have better sponsorship, then maybe better commercial opportunities through retail sales attached to them. So that's the model that we're taking with tournaments, to make sure that they're great events, well populated, and represent great value for money. Because after all, it's a day's entertainment for a family, and I think that has a cost attached to it, but we need to make sure that you really have an enjoyable experience at any Archery GB event.
Right, great answer, Neil, thank you. Second to last question. Kevin Bloomfield from City of Belfast Archers has asked, he's expressing his disappointment that they weren't able to apply for a development grant from Birmingham Belfast City Council because there was various parts of the constitution for Archery in Northern Ireland not actually in place, and he just wondered how that process is going and when will that be available for him to make these award claims.
Okay, Archery Northern Ireland is a newly constituted organisation. We can't adopt the constitution until it's been voted on at the AGM. This is it is the process. There is no way of circumnavigating that. And when we've gone through the consultation process for the constitution. The consultation output is actually already published on the Archery Northern Ireland website. The consultation together with the original constitution. From that and from the feedback we get, we will be writing the articles of association, which, as I say, need to go to the AGM to be voted on in the normal democratic process. We can't cut that short. I'm really sorry that it's compromised the ability for you to apply for grants, but it will make sure that we've got within Northern Ireland a really solid platform to make sure that we can enable us to deliver the best archery solution for the region. But we are working really hard to make sure it's a really robust process. And then, you know, we'll be able to ensure that clubs will be able to apply for grants, because we will have an absolutely rock solid basis of a constitution and articles of association to go forward with.
Okay, thank you. Dave Bell, final question for this evening. If we have missed any, and we had many more than the previous webinar, we will come back to you on an individual basis and drop you an email back to give you the answer to your question. So I'm sorry we haven't been able to fit all of them in, but here's the last one for this evening. Dave Bell, as I said, is asking why can't Archery GB members find out exactly the details of the £970,000 which was spent under membership services and overhead costs shown in the previous year's accounts?
Okay. We have a responsibility to publish financial accounts as laid down and dictated by financial regulations and reporting, which we do. If you came to the last AGM, I did actually deliver a verbal itemised rundown of that £970,000. So I have actually been through that. It takes quite a lot of time. There's an awful lot of detail into it. Dave, I'd be happy to chat through over the phone with you or by email that specific breakdown. But if you were at the AGM, it was actually provided at that meeting, so I don't really want to repeat it here. Okay.
Well, many thanks for those. I'd just like to pass you back to Neil now just for some closing remarks. And I think you've got an announcement to make.
I have indeed. Write my notes. Well, firstly, again, thank you for tuning in. And I want to be talking about some really good news that we've been developing and has only recently been agreed. So you're hearing it first here. The National Series final. Well, normally the National Series finals been held at Woollerton Hall, stately home in the Nottinghamshire area. It's a great event, but I think I'd really like to showcase archery to a much wider audience. So to do that, I learned from the experiences that we had at Nottingham when we had the Europeans actually closing down the city centre and exposing archery to a much wider audience that normally wouldn't see that kind of sport. So, with that in mind, we approached Birmingham and asked them if we could host put on our National Series final in the city centre. After a lot of negotiation, compounded by the recent security alerts, of course, we have managed to arrive at an agreeable position such that we will be putting on our National Series final in Birmingham City Centre on the 23rd and 24th of September. Now I really hope that loads of you will come along and support the event, join us, see some absolutely fantastic archery, some great sport going on, engage with a much wider audience and spread the word to get more people shooting more arrows more often. Anyway, thank you for your questions, really appreciate it, and we will see you very soon at the next webinar. So thank you and good evening.
All right.